Hey, we welcome you back into this edition of Sports Take, everybody, along with my man Blue Bayou, Barrett Brooks. I'm Derrick Gunn. And before we had Greg Cosell on, and we can't thank him enough for coming on and dropping some knowledge on us. Before we had him on, Barrett, I was running through a list of potential running backs that you thought would or would not fit into the Eagles' offensive scheme. So I want to pick that up again. And I'm going to start with this name because he's a running back that I've always liked. You never get to see enough of him. He's 30 years old. How about J.D. McKissic, formerly of Washington? Could be back with Washington. He only played 8 games last year, only had 22 carries, only 95 yards, but he averaged almost 4.5 yards a carry. You know, he's 5'10", a $194, one of these little scat backs, you know, who can do a lot of damage in open space. Does he pique your interest?
I'm going to say no. If I was going to get a back like that, in that fashion, I think I would go with a guy we saw the last game of the season, and Jerick McKinnon.
Ooh, okay.
You know, he's bigger than McKissic, and I think he has a little more of a skill set level that you can use him in a lot more ways. We're talking about a guy, you know, with great straight line speed, catch out the backfield, run those crossing routes. You remember how he was running away from defenders.
Yep.
He would be a guy that would work well in our system. So if I was going to get a smaller back like that, instead of getting McKissick, I would get McKinnon.
Okay. I'm glad you brought McKinnon up because McKinnon at 5'9" and 209, he has 72 carries, 291 yards, 4 yards a carry. The big thing is he had 56 receptions.
Right.
And he's 31. He's a year older than McKissic, but you like him a little bit better than you do McKissic.
Yes, I do. I think he's more explosive and more of a big play threat. He's to me, he's a football player as opposed to just being a running back.
Yep.
He's a football player. So
he had 9 touchdowns receiving also for Kansas City this past season.
You
know, Andy Reid loves to throw that football. He doesn't care if you can catch the ball, he's going to get it in your hand some kind of way.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to go into the geriatric ward and bring up a name for running backs. Mark Ingram, 34 years old, 5'9", 215. You know his game. We've seen it long enough. Does he still have anything left in the tank, or is he past his prime? You know, we talk about this being a young man's game. Again, he's 34 years old, but he wouldn't have to carry a load in this type of offense.
He doesn't pique my interest. We already have a Mark Ingram when we signed Rashard Penny. So I think he's more of that type of back. I mean, if we'd have caught him 3 years earlier, he'd have been all to the good. But right now, I can't see him being more productive than Rashard Penny.
All right, I'm going to bring up a name that has been basically a journeyman in his young career. And I thought when he came out of college, he was going to be a decent, steady back in the NFL. See if you remember this name, Jeremy McNichols.
Jeremy McNichols. Didn't he went to North Dakota State or something like that?
He went to Boise State.
Boise State.
And as a sophomore, he ran for over 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Right.
Now, he was drafted in the 5th round by Tampa Bay in 2017. But this dude, he was released by Tampa Bay. He was at San Francisco. He was at the Colts. He's been at Denver, Tennessee, Chicago, Jacksonville, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh this past year. I don't know what happened to him. Because in 5 years in the NFL, he's only played 31 games, 90 carries, 364 yards, average 4 yards a touch, and only 1 touchdown. I don't know what happened to him, but this dude cannot find a home. But he was a good back coming out of college.
He was a good back, steady back, but he was a volume carrier, and there's just not a lot of those guys in the league these days. It's become such a specialized league, and it's so much passing game. I think the only teams that run more than the Eagles do are Tennessee #1 and Baltimore #2, and they've already got back. So I don't think that he would fit necessarily our system. And plus, I mean, we have better running backs in our stable right now than him.
Okay. All right. Can't disagree with you there. Let's move on to the safety spot because as you mentioned to Greg Cosell a few moments ago, right now what we're looking at on the back end of this defense is Reed Blankenship and who is it, Davion Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, on the back end, which we're both kind of shaky about here.
No. Davion Taylor is a linebacker.
A linebacker, you're right.
Well, right now we have
Reed.
and Kayvon Walk.
Okay, yes, which makes you a little nervous back there right now,
bro.
Right,
I started shaking as soon as you said that. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing right now?
Well, let's see what they could do now. There's some interesting names out here on the free agent market as far as safeties, and I'm going to start with the guy I've watched him when he was in Chicago, watched him when he was in Green Bay. 30-year-old Adrian Amos. 102 tackles last year, second on Green Bay, only one interception, 6 foot 215. He's considered one of the better safeties in the game. He's still out there. Wouldn't cost you a pretty penny. Would he pique your interest?
Well, he probably piquing the defensive coordinator's interest also because he played for him. The side, coached him. Does he pique my interest? Yeah, he piques my interest. Can we afford him? Heck no. Man, he's gonna want
how do we know
$top money. He's gonna want top dollar money, man. He's
safeties are not getting top dollar money.
Well, he's gonna be more. He's gonna cost more than we can get him. We can bring him in though, because he's not gonna take a hometown discount to come here. So I mean, would I like him here? I would like him here. I mean, he's a player, man. He showed us, man. He was putting it on us when we played against him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like him. I like Adrian Amos. He can come in. He'll be a solid starter. He'll be along the lines of a guy that, that's out free agent right now also that was a former Eagle. You know what I'm saying? Went to Indianapolis. What's his name?
Rodney McLeod.
Rodney McLeod. Same guy. Just a little younger.
Rodney was next on my list. Rodney is 33 now. He was on Good Morning Football yesterday, and he said he would not be opposed to finishing out his career back here in Philadelphia. Now, McLeod, check this out. He played all 17 games last year for the Colts. McLeod had 96 tackles, tied for third best on the team. He had 8 tackles for a loss. Very heads up, very instinctive player. Not the fastest player sideline to sideline, but is a steady player on the back end. Is Rodney too old to come back and play for this defense?
No.
When you consider you have a 32-year-old corner in Darius Slay and a 30-year-old corner in James Bradbury.
And 2 defensive linemen that are 34, 35 years old anyways. He came back from that injury, played better and balled out against us. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having him back. I think he'll give a hometown discount also.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
So, yeah, Rodney McLeod, out of anybody on that list, I say he's probably the guy that that we can get back with that talent level. He would give us a hometown discount. Definitely.
All right. Some more interesting names on the list. How about the team you're familiar with? Terrell Edmonds, 26 years old, played 15 games at 70 tackles, 2 sacks. He was a 2018 first-round pick, 6'1", 217, 5 years in the league. How about a Terrell Edmonds?
Love him, man. But he's another one of those guys probably priced himself out of coming back to the – in fact, I think he stays with the Steelers. I think they're trying to work out a deal that he's going to stay back with the Steelers. So would love to have him here. Great size, still a really good player. I would love Terrell Edmonds to come out. His brother just got paid.
Yeah, he did.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of the unique families that have three sons in the league. Him, Terrell,
the Watts family.
Yeah, the Watts family.
Yeah.
So yeah, would I want him back? I definitely would. In fact, he was actually came out to that charity baseball game that Devontae Smith had.
Okay.
And he was here. I guess they're really good friends, have the same agent and everything. So, I think Terrell goes back to the Steelers, but I would love to have him here, yes.
All right. How about 28-year-old Keanu Neal, who played in Tampa Bay last year? He played the entire season, 63 tackles, 4 sacks, 6 foot, 211, another former first-round pick. Anybody who plays in Tampa's defense under Todd Bowles, I got to be interested in.
You have to be interested in him. He can play, man. Yeah, I mean, he's something I would think about. He's a box safety more so than anything. Hence, that's why he has, sacks and, those type of numbers. But will he fit in our system? I think he would. He'd be asked to cover, though. because, they run a lot of cover too, as Greg talked about, because they do a lot of zone blitzing. Zone blitzing means they might bring 5. It looks like a blitz when they're bringing 4, but it's not. So I mean, would I bring him back here? That's tough, man, because I remember when he played for Dallas. He didn't do much at Dallas. He did some things when he was with, Atlanta. Didn't do anything with Dallas, but did something last year in Tampa Bay. So if we did bring him, I'm hoping that he would come in and do what he did when he was like in Atlanta, when he was in Tampa Bay.
Okay. All right. What about 30-year-old Deon Bush? Played most of his career in Chicago. Last year played Kansas City. Played 16 games, 11 tackles. He's more of a center fielder type. He's not one of these big hitter types, but can cover a lot of ground. 30 years old again, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Do you like a Deon Bush?
Not really. Not really.
No?
Nah.
Okay.
Not really.
All right. Last name on my list, 33-year-old LaMarcus Joyner, 5'8", 185, played for the Jets, 57 tackles. No? Too small?
Too small. I just don't like him as a player. One guy on the list that you should put on the list, and I really like him. He played he was actually drafted in the 2nd round by the Rams, and that's Taylor Rapp. Young guy, about 26 years old, still playing in his, he just finished playing in his rookie deal. They're letting him walk, but I really believe he can come in and play well, learn the system and play well in this system. So that's a name we should be looking for. Might have an opportunity to come in and play. His name is Taylor Rapp.
All right. Safety. All right. I'm gonna write that name down and keep it on the list. Who knows? If Rob Ellis can get people fired, you can get people hired. So, right. So I'll put that on the list.
Right.
I got some questions for you. I mean, I'm curious to hear your perspective on this. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 questions I want to ask you. All right, first of all, start with Dallas Goedert. Goddard's been in the league 5 years, okay? He's never had a 1,000-yard season receiving. His best season was 2021, 56 catches, 830 yards, 14.8 yards per average, 4 touchdowns. Will we ever see Dallas Goedert, who is identified as one of the top 4 or 5 tight ends in the game today, will we ever see him past that 1,000-yard plateau?
Absolutely. He would have done it this year. If it wasn't for his injury, he'd have done it this year. Even in 2021, he would have done it, but we had just traded Zach Ertz halfway through the season. That's the only reason why he didn't do it. If he'd have started the season off at the number 1 and didn't have to compete against Zach Ertz, then he would have, he would have had 1,000 yards that year. So he is so talented that they haven't scratched the surface on how good he can be. And I think this year is the year that he does get to that 1,000-yard mark, because he's going to be used a lot more by, Jalen Hurts. The tight end's the quarterback's best friend. And those two are starting to get a little chemistry together. Yes, we have 2,000-yard receivers on the outside, but Dallas Goedert in the middle can open up all that, and it become even more of a threat when he becomes that guy that could work the middle of the field, right, and be that target that Jalen Hurts needs to keep the chains moving. A lot of the times we had to go out to A.J. Brown, especially when Goedert went down. But I can see us really, really making strides in his career, and Jalen Hurts getting better by going to him.
Dallas played 12 games this past season, 55 catches, 702. I love your analysis on him. I don't know if he'll ever get to 1,000 yards receiving, only because of how diversified that offense is. They like to incorporate so many different people, and that includes the backside of the backfield. They're not shy about throwing to the backside of the backfield. You look at Gainwell. Gainwell had how many catches? He had 23, only 23 receptions, but they'll throw to Boston Scott. They threw to Miles Sanders. And I think as good of a tight end as Goedert is, I think that hurts his ability to possibly pass that 1,000-yard plateau. When you have 2,000-yard receivers on one team, there ain't enough balls to go around to everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, see, there it is, though.
Yeah.
You keep the chains moving with a Dallas Goedert.
Yes.
You have big play potential on the outsides, but you keep the chains moving. You keep drives going. The more drives you keep going, the more opportunity guys get to get the ball. And that's where Dallas Goedert is going to specialize in. He's going to be this team's chain mover. He's going to get those tough first downs they need to keep drives going. Then you can go over the top and go to those other receivers because everybody's going to focus in on, Dallas Goedert. Things open up when Dallas Goedert starts playing better. Playing at the level we know he can play at. And that's the biggest thing. Yes, there's not a lot of football. Not a lot of balls out there because, there's only so much you can do within the offense because you got so many good players. But you have so many good players, he can open up to those good players just by his production and keeping the chains moving and keeping his offense on the field.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell played all 17 games last year. He had 53 carries, only 53 carries because Miles Sanders got the bulk of the carries, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also added 23 catches, $169, but no touchdowns. We saw in the latter stages of the season and into the playoffs that it appeared the Eagles trusted Gainwell more so than they trusted Miles Sanders in the backfield. With that said, and as I said back in early February, Kenneth Gainwell is going to be their lead back. Doesn't mean a feature back. I don't think there is a such thing in the Eagles offense as a feature back. How many more touches do you expect him to get? Again, 53 carries in 17 games. He was umbrellaed by Miles Sanders. Now that Miles Sanders is no longer in his way, you expect to see his numbers go significantly up.
Significant. I'm talking about over 200, 200 carries.
Really? Even with Penny back there?
Yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not 200, but right around 150. Apples on right about the same thing because Kenneth Gainwell, he can run in between the tackles. And that was really what they were trying to see. Can they maintain this offense without Miles Sanders? And they showed that they could do it the last 4 or 5 games, especially in the playoffs. They split reps. Miles Sanders and him split reps. It almost went 50-50 as far as how many carries Gainwell had, how many carries Miles Sanders had. And I think, number one, it was twofold. Number one,
okay,
they were trying to see if he could take on the punishment of being a guy that could be a feature back. That's number one. Number two, they want to see what else he can do. And can he be as explosive as they saw in practice in game-type situation? And he showed both of those. So in turn, it made it an easier situation for them to let Miles Sanders go.
Okay.
So yes, he can do it. He will have more than 50 carries. He'll have right around about 100, 150 carries going into next year. He'll come in. He'll be a plug-and-play guy. Yes, Penny will get his carries also, but I just like his explosiveness, and they like his explosiveness. And when he and Jalen Hurts are in the backfield together, it's pick your poison because they ran plays differently when Gainwell was in there. And it wasn't that they were the same plays as Miles Sanders, but they put the launch areas in which he got the ball. They made that different. They told him, look, don't look to run it inside like Miles Sanders does. What we want you to do is stretch the defense. As soon as you get it, we want you to kick it outside, outrun guys to the corner. And that system worked. So then they did turn around and give it to him. It opened back up the middle, and that's why they were able to have some success running in the middle of the defense again because now, Jalen can get that, you have to defend Jalen and the running back on the outside.
Okay. All right, next one. Should it be or is the Quez Watkins experiment over? Last season, 17 games. 33 catches, 354 yards, 10.7 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. Should it be over? Should the Quez Watkins experiment be over, or should you give him at least one more year? He's coming up on his 4th year, 2023, as a professional football player. Where do you stand, sir?
I hate to hate on people and their skill set and what they
unless it's me, right?
Right. But, I just got to be very honest and tell the truth. When you are given a job to do, you got to do that duty. You've got to fulfill that duty. His job, his focus on this team was to be that deep threat, taking the top off type of offensive player.
Yep.
meaning if you throw the ball up to it, you got to go get it. And too many times he didn't fulfill that end of the deal. He didn't fulfill that bargain that they gave him. You know, that's his job, to take the top off the defense. And in the Super Bowl, that non-catch, bro, when you're an NFL football player, you're an NFL receiver, the ball hits your fingertips. It's supposed to be a catch. The ball hit his hands, and he didn't catch it. Against Washington, he had the ball and fumbled it. Against Dallas, he allowed them to pick the ball off twice from him being non-committal in the middle of that defense and catching the rock. You get paid to make big plays, and he didn't fulfill his part of the bargain. So am I done with it? I'm not saying I'm done because I'm not going to hate on him, but I'm going to say this. They're looking at him side-eyed right there, and they have to be looking for another third receiver to do that, man. You got to facilitate what they're asking you to do, and he's not doing it, man. Me, I got talked towards the end of my career. I knew my job. I was supposed to be the best sixth man off the bench. That was my job. Somebody got hurt, whether it's guard, center, or tackle, I'd have to be that guy going in there. I had to be the guy to go in and play at a level in which there was no stopping the offense. It had to be exactly the way if the starter was in there. So that's what I did. That's why I played 12 years. If I couldn't do that, I'd probably just played 7 or 8 years. But I knew when I was in the game, I was tasked to play like a starter, and that's what I did. That was my job. That was my role. His job, his role is to take the top off the defense. Now, it don't matter how fast you are. If you're taking the top off the defense, every time you throw it up to you, you're going to drop it. They'll stop covering you. Just let you run down the field. Oh, they going to throw it to him. He going to drop it. No need even covering him. You got to do it, man, and he did not do it. So, I mean, am I done with him? I'm not going to say that I'm done with him because I ain't got nothing to do with him. But that team was definitely looking at tape, looking at what he was supposed to do and and lack of production. He should have, I mean, just in those two plays I'm talking about, the play against Dallas, I mean, not the play against Dallas, the play against Washington when he fumbled it, that should have been like 50, 60 yards and a 50, 60-yarder in the Super Bowl. That's 100 more yards he should have had. So that puts him over 400 yards passing on just 2 plays, man. Not to say the 30-yard play and the 20-yard play he had in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? That's almost 500 yards he dropped. He just flat out dropped. So, no, I mean, I can't say him. I can't trust him being that guy right now. I can't.
That pass he dropped in the Super Bowl could have been a game-changing play.
It was a game-changing play.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't because he dropped it, but I'm saying had he caught it, he could have been a game-changing play for the Eagles.
Well, it changed the game because he dropped it, and it gave Kansas City an opportunity to go out there and stop us.
Yeah.
They didn't stop us. He stopped. He quit on the route, number one. Number two, he caught up with it, had it in his hands, and still didn't fulfill the deal. Come on, man.
Now, I don't know what the Eagles are thinking in terms of him right now, as you don't, but it's wide open for him to redeem himself. Zach Pascal has moved on to Arizona now. And you said they're looking for a number 3. We all thought he was going to emerge as that number 3 receiver. Hasn't done it yet. If there's ever an opportunity for him to prove people wrong, it's this spring and this summer to change people's mindset of him.
Well, that narrative has not changed for me right now. The narrative is I need somebody that's going to go out there and catch the big play. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Next topic. What can we expect from 32-year-old Darius Slay?
You know what? He's a proud player. He's a very proud player. He still has elite skill set at a man-to-man type of corner. So in saying that, his game will be up there, and he'll be one of the top 5-6 corners in the league. Again, put your money on it. Put your money on it.
Okay. All right.
That's the type of player he is. That's the type of player I know him to be. You know what I'm saying? The way he talks the talk and he walks the walk. Now, you know, a game or two, you know, he might have made some mistakes, but at the end of the day, he's still a top level corner in this league. You know what I'm saying? He was a Pro Bowler. So do I think he's going to get back to that level? I think he's going to get back to the level and surpass that level. Number one, he's a proud player, and people, talking trash about him, that's going to make him work even better. It's going to make him work even harder. He's going to come back with a vengeance. You can be like, see, I told you. Don't look at me now. Don't call me Slay now. Y'all thought I was Darius. No, I'm Big Play Slay. Y'all, what the names that they have for him right now, he's writing them in his book. He's writing them down right now. No Play Slay, all that type of stuff. He's writing all that stuff down. He's taking receipts, bro, and he's gonna go out and play at a top level because of what he heard and what he's hearing right now from everybody. What he's hearing right now, he's definitely taking an account of that and gonna play at a high level because of that.
Hey man, people in this chat are cold-blooded. When we were talking about Quez Watkins, they're calling him Quezolar in reference to Nelson Aguilar. Who's that? The Gigi Meta, Quezolar. Then we got another one here.
Wow.
Then we got another one here that said, Baron Von Cyclona says Quez Dropkins instead of Quez Watkins. That's cool, man. That's cold-blooded, man. I should also throw this in as an update because I'm seeing it all over Twitter. Reese Hoskins suffered a knee injury in a non-contact situation today down in spring training, and people are saying doesn't look good. That would be a big loss for them, if that happens. Obviously, we'll keep watching to see exactly what's going on, and if we get any updated information, we'll pass it along as well. But Reese Hoskins went down with a knee injury, and obviously, we're not going to speculate right now. We see these things happen all the time in sports. Guys knee buckles. For the most part, we know it's going to be a serious injury, but every now and then you get a report after they do MRIs and testings and stuff that hey, it's just a sprain. Whether it's an MCL, grade 1, grade 2 sprain, whatever the case may be. So keep your fingers crossed in that regard. All right, going back to the Eagles for a moment.
Wow. Man, that's huge, man. So I mean, you still keep Alec Baum at third base?
I don't know, man. What about Hall?
I just put Hall right there, plug and play, first base.
Yeah, I think you got to keep Bohm where he's most comfortable. And Bohm had struggles early on in the season, but really came on in the latter part of the season. I think he's a given there, so I think you have to keep him there. All right, one guy that you've talked about a lot, 5'11", 231. Let me ask you this: do you want to see Nakobe Dean play inside or outside, and why?
Inside. I want to play the Mike linebacker. I want him to be the focal point of this defense. That's what he plays. That's what he played in college, and that's I think where he's most comfortable with. Even though he's small, he knows how to play the position, and he uses that as a strength for him. You know what I'm saying? You can't get your hands on him. He makes you bend over. You know what I'm saying? He could at times, get overwhelmed or engulfed by blocks, but he's played well enough that he can undercut those type of things. He's a student of the game. He reads things fast. He diagnoses things fast. His best skill set is his ability to read and react faster than what the offensive line can get on him. He makes plays because he's so instinctual. So I want him at that Mike linebacker position. Put Morrow at the will linebacker.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I believe he's also a guy that can blitz. I think he'll blitz better than TJ Edwards. He's a special player, man. He's a special player, man. I see him making some strides and really becoming a force in the middle of that defense and a force in the division.
Okay. We talked about this a few moments ago with Greg Cosell. Is it a given that Cam Jurgens moves into that right guard spot, or is it open competition?
It's always an open competition. But when I look at that spot, they want their best 5 players on the offensive line in the game. And because of that, I think he is one of our best 5 players. You got Sewell Petty. When he's, he can play. Is he better than Cam Jurgens at the guard position?
Right.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they didn't play him a lot. It's between him and Jack Driscoll, and Cam Jurgens for that right guard position. I just think their best 5. You put, Cam Jurgens at the right tackle, right guard position. I think he plays better at right guard than anything.
Okay.
Which leads us to, that's why they got to keep Jack Driscoll as that swing tackle. But in saying that, looking at the guys they have at the tackle positions, they have some guys that played a little bit, man. Like, Roderick Johnson. Roderick Johnson, he's actually from the crib. He's from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Played at Florida State. Big offensive lineman, number 66. Kid is 6'7", 300 pounds. You know what I mean? That's some big guys on the offensive line, So, I know it's going to be tough trying to figure out who's going to be the swing tackle, who's going to be the backup guard. It's so much uncertainty right now. They got a 6'6" guard named Jared Williams, 6'6", 325 pounds.
Yeah,
plays tackle, plays guard. We'll see. We'll see. I like, out of all the guys there, I like Roderick Johnson, not because he's from St. Louis, but he has the most experience at playing. He played a lot when he was with the Texans. So, I see him as a guy that will come in and give us a little burn.
All right, finally, will Rashad Penny finish what he starts in 2023 based on what we know of him and his injury history?
Man, don't get me the line, man. I don't know.
Come on. That's why I hit you with this. Come on now.
You know what? I would say yes, because it's not the same system he ran when he was with the Seahawks. He's not going to have to be that bell cow back. They rotate guys so much that he's going to try to take advantage of the time and opportunities that he has in the lineup. And a lot of the times, they're going to be playing Kenneth Gainwell instead of him. So he's going to want to make sure that he makes an impact when he's in there. That way he stays out there a little more. But I don't think he's going to have enough reps to really get hurt. This running back by committee, man, it does well for them because it doesn't get the defensive bead on the offense because those guys are so versatile in what they do. So, yeah, I think he weathers it and he plays because he's going to take less reps, number one, less of a pounding play after play, number two.
All right. Are you lying or are you telling the truth? Because based on what you just said, don't get me lying. Should I believe everything you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just because, no one is less of an opportunity to get hurt. And plus, you get most players get hurt when they get tired.
Yeah.
And he won't have time to get tired because those guys will be rotating in and out.
All right. Good chat. We're going to step aside right now. When we come back, we'll talk about what's going on around the league and some other topics as well. And, of course, coming up at 2 o'clock, NBA insider Derek Bodner will join us to talk about the 76ers, the stretch run. James Harden has missed the last couple of games because of Achilles soreness. We'll talk about that and more. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Derrick Gunn. You are locked into this Thursday edition of Sports Take. We're back on the